Welcome to the Farming on Purpose podcast, a podcast for farmers and ranchers ready to shift for a stronger future. Today's challenges in agriculture are new, but the grit and determination required to be successful are not. On the Farming on Purpose podcast, you'll hear how producers of all sizes and practices are moving mountains for things they believe in, all in the name of an industry that keeps growing and innovating for a stronger food system and stronger farm families. I'm your host, Lexi Wright, and I'm excited to discuss where producers are finding success, challenging the status quo, striving for better, and keeping our heritage alive, all while producing the food we depend on.
Can we take just a second to talk about your business? You already know your business inside and out. You've built something worth talking about. But when it comes to marketing, it can feel like you're stuck. You don't know what to say, where to show up, or how to turn followers into customers. I know because I've been there. That's why I created the 8-hour marketing plan class. Think of it as your personal roadmap built just for you in just one day of focused action. You bring your passion and your business know-how and use our step-by-step video process to craft your strategy to help you reach the right people and grow your business. This process helps you get around second-guessing, wasted time, and feeling overwhelmed. We create a clear plan that fits your business, your life, and gets results. You're the expert in what you do. Let us help you build a plan to show it off. Jump into the 8-hour marketing plan class at backpocketsocial.com/8 hours. That's backpocketsocial.com/8 hours.
Welcome back to Farming on Purpose. Today, I have Taylor Moyer here with me. And Taylor, I'm really excited to hear about your operation and some of the different things you guys have been doing to add some revenue streams to what you already have existing. So you guys own Ridgeview Land and Cattle, you and your wife. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and what you guys have got going on.
Sure. Yeah. So I have this crazy and wild past of, I was born and raised in agriculture, but I left when I was 18. Had a professional career and just a different career path than most ranchers for the last 18 years. But in 2018, I purchased, an old rundown abandoned farm. At the time, it was kind of, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It was a good land investment. I still love the outdoors. I love farming and ranching, but I had a full-time job at the time. Over the next couple of years in my free time, I got the farm back operational. I built a small cow herd until 2 seasons ago when I jumped into farming and ranching, full time with both feet. So what we have now is we have a spring calving cow-calf herd is kind of our basis. We are about an hour east of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're in the fescue belt. So the majority is actually fall calving cow-calf herds. So we kind of we do have a couple fall calvers. We're kind of this, we have this business model of, we like to turn things into what people like to buy. Let's put it that way. So my spring cow calving herd, they're great at what they do, but if those cows ever come up open, I can then sell my culls into a fall cow calving herd. I can run them real cheap for the summer, get them bred for the fall. And sell them. They generally have a lot of body condition and they're what other people want. Conversely to that, if I want to add cows to my herd, I can buy people's open fall cows and see if they breed for the spring. Alongside that, we do some custom grazing, which is a fun thing. We do that for cash flow because we're a young business and it's nice to get paid every month. And then the third kind of cattle enterprise is what I call backgrounding or I kind of call it backgrounding. The way the cattle industry is around here, we have a lot of smaller herds, and a lot of the business model for those guys is gather up the calves they can catch and bring them to the sale barn. And our sale barn our local sale barn and a couple barns around has a program. It's like a premium tag, right? So you sign an affidavit that they're weaned at least 45 days, vaccinated, castrated. If it's a steer, they have this tag, and you're signing your name and you're signing your reputation to say, hey, I've straightened these cattle out. So that's a good opportunity for somebody like me, who has the time and the resources and just enough of the knowledge to kind of put together gooseneck loads, or put together like types of cattle from all my neighbor producers, get them straightened out, and then sell them at a premium at the sale barn, which we just sold some last Wednesday. So those are kind of the 3 cattle enterprises we have going on. Just a couple other things I don't know, but people always want to know. We get 46 inches of annual rain. We are a grazing based operation. Our competitive advantage here in North Carolina is that if done right, you can grow forage about year round. Might have to plant some summer annuals for when it gets really hot in August, July, August, September. And you got to stockpile a little grass for now and January to now maybe. But that's our competitive advantage. And that's what we work hard to do, is extend our grazing season and feed cattle that way. So that's us.
Very cool. Well, I can tell you've been on a podcast before answering the questions ahead of time. This is how much rainfall we get. This is what we be going on. I like it. When you guys, it's always interesting for me to hear how cattle sales work in other states, because it is kind of not universal. When you background those calves, is that something you take ownership of the calves and then sell them?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. I've never ventured into like custom backgrounding, but I guess you could. But yes, the way I've been doing it is I'm trying to offer a value added service to my neighbors, right? A lot of these guys are poultry producers, and they've got cows to kind of not have to bush hog around the turkey and chicken houses, or they're row croppers, or they have a full-time job. So it's a convenience thing. The sale barn's open on Wednesday. They would have to haul cattle in Tuesday night or Wednesday. That doesn't fit their schedule. They'd have to pay commission, have to pay their checkoff fee. I am value added. So I come to you with a trailer. I will sort cattle there, load everything for you. If it was really bad, I might leave it. But the other thing I'd like to do is I'll take everything for you. I will write you a check for the ones I want, and I will haul the other ones to the sale barn for you if that helps you out. I have scales in my house. So then we get here with the cows, we can weigh them. We're usually weighing them on an individual basis, and I go right off of the North Carolina average report, and I pay a fair market value. I only buy cattle I can make money on. I'm not asking anybody to give me a discount on cattle, so they're going to get the same check they get the sale barn, just in their own time. I'm just looking for those classes of animals that I have the the ability to say upsell them, straight them out. There is times like right now, I had to turn some down. Last week at the sale barn, bull calves, unweaned ball and bull calves on all weight ranges were worth the same thing as a number 1 straightened out steer calf. And I just have to be honest and say, I can't buy them. I can't make a dime. I'm happy to help you get them there. So you can make money. It's a good time. But yeah, that's kind of how we do that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a variation of sell-by marketing. Doug Ferguson is who I'm familiar with that teaches that, although I know there's other gentlemen that do. It's cool that you are able to make those connections with your neighbors, though, versus always having to go to the sale barn to buy them. That's a great service to be able to offer to your neighbors.
Yeah, so it is. I mean, I don't always just publicize it, but everything I do, even in my cow-calf herd, is sell by marketing, right? Yeah. I took Wally Olson school. I'm very familiar with Doug. I've read everything he's ever put out on Beef Magazine. Everything in my herd, we are always selling what's undervalued. Always selling what's overvalued and buying back what's undervalued.
Yeah.
So some of that is flexibility too. We have funny seasons here in North Carolina. Pneumonia can be a real concern. It's the East Coast, so there is a little more conglomeration of cattle. But just the parasite load and the variations in seasons can bring on some sickness. So I'm a little unique maybe in that I'm not like a stocker guy or a cow-calf guy. I kind of change classes of animals based off the seasons. I try to never sell out and liquidate, as Doug would say. I know I try to always be buying back, but there's sometimes I don't want to be knife cutting calves because just the chance for infection because it's wet out here, or they don't have moms to keep them cleaned up, right? Same with we fight pneumonia through we're in a time now where we'll be 80 degrees in 2 days, and we were below freezing the other night, right? Those big temperature swings can be hell on cattle health. So I try to balance all that, right? I probably make it sound more eloquent than it is. It's kind of like I'm falling down the stairs. I just try to fail fast, fail forward, and learn as we go. And, the biggest principle is I try to make my profit on the buy and cash flow on the sell, right? So I work hard to make smart purchases. So I have some leniency in there to screw up along the way and not lose my shorts.
Absolutely. Well, I think most people in agriculture feel like they're trying to fall up while falling down the stairs. So you're not alone in that. For everybody who's listening, if you're not familiar with the things that we're talking about, sell by marketing, Google it. You'll find lots of great information. My husband and I stumbled on it a couple years ago and have had a lot of fun just learning the principle. It's crazy how much you can take from things like that, everybody thinks ranching is just ranching. You raise your product, but there's a lot of other things you can do to be creative in how you're profitable with that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And then you guys have other ventures too that you're using to make your farm ranch profitable. What are some of those things?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because this was an idea I had from the beginning. My mom's side of my family is Battleview Orchards. It's about an hour outside of New York City, and they've been direct to consumer since before direct to consumer was cool. My great grandparents started it. My grandparents transitioned to all pretty much 95% pick your own direct to consumer. A little bit of wholesale apples, but my grandmother and grandpa realized they've got New York City an hour away with all these people who would like to get outdoors, and they transitioned their entire orchard operation, which is apples, peaches, pumpkins, strawberry, everything, corn, to that model. So I've always kind of seen the benefits of that. And I know it's very much a different type of work than just a straight more commodity agriculture. If you have people skills, it can be very rewarding. But with that comes a lot of liability. So we're only an hour outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. This kind of happened organically, but we have a really good family friend who is an amazing photographer, family photography, bridal portraits, stuff like that. And it just started with her asking if she could use our land. We have some rolling hills, some creeks, some big oaks, really pretty property. Asking if she could meet clients here to shoot. And it was no big deal. I trust her completely. I was always here. She knows, she's from Wisconsin. She knows agriculture. She knows better than to be in certain fields at certain times. But it kind of took off and other people were asking. And then that's where like the liability side that my family kind of put in my head creeped in of like, how do I cover myself? I don't want to lose this place over a twisted ankle or just a miscommunication, right? Funny enough, I heard the CEO of Land Trust on Working Cows podcast, and I am like, holy cow, this is a turnkey package to do exactly what I want to do without me having to build more pages on my website or handle payments or go get more like this is almost too good to be true. Let's dip I'll try anything once. Let's dip our toe in it. So I did. We made 2 listings. We made a listing for photography for, people pay me by the hour to come use to book exclusive rights to my land, and not exclusive from me, but exclusive from other people getting their picture taken, to come out with their photographer, or if it's a photographer, come out with their clients and take photos. And you would think, well, why would people want to pay for that? Well, there's 1 million people over here in Charlotte, an hour away. And Charlotte's now like the banking capital of the U.S. And, people want to get outside. And COVID kind of proved that to me, especially around here. And we structured it that way. And what I like about it most is there's no added overheads for me. So it's adding another revenue stream purely on top of the overheads my farm and ranch always carries. And funny enough, the photography thing I have set up that is completely hands off for me. I also offer a farm and ranch tour. That one is hands on, and I guide people. Whether depending on their knowledge level, we might walk. If it's kids, we might ride in side by side. That one involves me, but I didn't see a downside. We already had people wanting to do this. I could use that service for a very low revenue share to facilitate that. We did 10 or so bookings last year. It pays the taxes on the place. Let's put it that way. I'm not getting rich, but it's another revenue stream on top of cattle, on top of all the things that are already here without any added work. But it's enough so, and it's been so interesting that I think we're about to make some modifications and actually probably split our photography into 2 tiers, meaning one is completely hands off, and probably offer a different rate for a fully guided type tour where if it's a bride in a wedding dress that wants pictures in the creek or down by the creek or whatever, I'm not going to make her walk, right? Could we offer another package that's a little more expensive, meet the guest here at the farm, offer a changing room, and then offer them, to shuttle them down there with the photographer, maybe a cooler of water or whatever. But after that, what ended up happening was I really enjoyed the business model of this whole thing, and I have some business skills, and I just reached out to Nick and I was like, man, this is cool. I would love to be part of this. So I joined on the team a little over a year ago, and it's kind of cool because I come at it. I am a hunter and fisherman and outdoorsman, but I come at it very much so as a business owner or ranch owner's perspective, which at the time it was something the team needed. So I now work for Land Trust, full disclosure. I also have Land Trust listings here. And it's interesting because the majority of the Land Trust listings, or where the company started, was the hunting and fishing type of things. But we are quickly gaining a lot of what we call farm and ranch experiences, which would be the photography, the wedding venue, the farm and ranch tour. The options are endless. It's whatever the landowner would like to monetize.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it's really cool. That's, for one, this is something that exists out there, that people can have this access to non-public land where they can still enjoy it and it still benefits you as the landowner as well. That is something that I feel like has been a growing problem as our society, or whatever you want to call it, becomes more separated from the farm. So that's really awesome that you guys are able to do that. I'm really glad that you mentioned that it pays your property taxes, because our property taxes doubled this year. Because of all the improvements we've made to the property. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying. Like, you have a nice place. You've been taking good care of it. You've kept it up. And with that comes increased property value and increased property taxes. So this is a way to offset something like that.
And I'm more than happy to talk about all the financials, because we have a full spectrum. We have people who have listed their land. I'll be 100% honest. We've had people that have listed their land and never got one booking. Our hardest thing is always getting people their first booking, and we work on that daily, all the way to our top earner last year did $73,000.
Wow,
that's a full salary for somebody on that operation, if they, depending on how involved they want to get into the agritourism side of things. All this falls liability wise or legally under an agritourism umbrella. But for me and the amount that we made here, it was enough to pay the property taxes, which, hey, it was more money than I had before. Let's put it that way. And what it's actually turned into is I've now set a goal for where I want to get that agritourism revenue stream to next year. And I got a little insider knowledge working for the company to know what really sells in North Carolina now. So there are those things. And I think you hit a point that has been so neat. I'm sure you've sensed this, right? I don't know why let's just call it like it is in society. I feel like people love to divide other people. And I am very much the opposite of like, let's work together. And there's so many instances, whether it's farmers and the public, like I think my personal opinion is everybody in the public should have a farmer and fire their doctor and their lawyer. Eat healthy, be good, stay out of trouble. Have a farmer. You should have a farmer before you have a doctor and a lawyer to keep your family healthy. On the same sense, I think every farmer and rancher should have a set of sportsmen, and every hunter should have a set of farmers. I hate that division between farmers and outdoorsmen, being divided, whereas we really need each other. I think private land owners do a better job managing the lands of America than public lands. Why wouldn't they? They're incentivized to do so. It's how they make their living. I think finding hunters that are willing to compensate you for that hard work, in the same sense, for hunters to find people that care about habitat and land and have some cohesion between is a really mutually beneficial relationship for all parties involved. And we're seeing that like really blossom at Land Trust. I interview a lot of sportsmen and landowners, and it is amazing the connections we've made that they've then just taken on themselves. We have sportsmen that visit the same landowner every year, send Christmas cards. We were laughing because we have a sportsman that sees the landowners he likes to hunt at. He sees them more than his extended family, a lot more. So yeah, those relationships are super important for our society, and Land Trust is just a facilitation tool to help nurture those relationships.
Absolutely. And having that opportunity for connection, it really decreases the reasoning for the divide that existed in the first place, which is that mainly the access to land is the thing that's in the middle of the two and how it gets used. So when you have a way for a farmer to make a profit off of getting those guys out there and getting them what they want too, huge asset. So tell us a little bit more about how Land Trust originated. Where did this idea come from? How long have they been around? Is it nationwide? A little bit more about how we can be involved with Land Trust.
Sure. Yeah. Land Trust. Nick DeCastro started Land Trust in 2019 from Bozeman, Montana. And he had just moved out there with his family, and Nick's about the same age as me. I'm 37. When I was a kid, there was still such a thing in the outdoor space as door knocking, which there still is a little bit. It's just a lot less prevalent. So Nick moved out west, not originally from out west, didn't have a lot of connections, and was immediately faced with like, man, it's not as easy as it used to be. You can't just knock on somebody's door and ask for permission to hunt. They're a little standoffish. And like most great companies, he was like, well, let's just see why not. So I think he started to interview a lot of farmers and ranchers, and rather than ask for permission, was like, what are all the reasons you don't let people, right? And I know conclusively from interviewing these folks, a lot of them, it's always actually before the money, it's liability. We live in a sue-happy country. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, I'm a realist. That's how it is. You got to cover your butt. So it was always liability was the first concern, right? Before it was financial reasons or any of that. So Nick literally just set out to solve every reason why you wouldn't let somebody, and then put it together in a nice package. So 2019, here we are in 2025, right around 1.3 million acres that are partnered with Land Trust, 700 and I think 16 different properties as of yesterday when we had our meeting, 42 states. Everything from, we know you can now hunt every species of turkey. You can now hunt every species of ungulate except Sitka deer, which that's kind of a little controversial. That's just in Maryland anyways. But we just added black-tailed deer the other day in Oregon. So that was like the last deer family, elk, antelope, everything. We have river fishing out west. We have pond fishing all over the place. We have some coastal fishing, private access to coastal water in Florida. We have hog hunting, prairie dog hunting. I mean, we have it all. We have something for everybody, and we're in all states. And now we've really moved into the farm and ranch experience business, which is like I was telling you before this. We just added our first wedding venue. We have people that offer birding, archaeological hikes. We have a botanical garden in Georgia. I don't know what that is, but if you would like, that's your thing, have at it. What's neat about our platform is we are just the platform and the tool. It is truly all decisions are up to the landowner as far as what they would like to offer. So it's whatever makes your property special, or it's whatever experience you feel like you could offer that somebody would want to pay you to come and do. And every property is different. That's also why we don't have exact size limitations, right? We are only paid on a revenue share model, meaning until you get bookings, we don't make a dime. Mm-hmm. So if you're offering a 5-acre elk hunt, we're probably going to say, sorry, that's just not the right fit. If you have a 5-acre bass pond that's stocked and your whole property is only 7 acres, we're probably going to say, yeah, come on in. I think you could offer some great fishing experiences on a 5-acre stocked bass pond. Yeah, that's what Land Trust is. And it's ever changing as society changes a little bit. I mean, we are a team of people that are really good they're way smarter than me, that are really good at websites and facilitating and all the inner workings and mechanics of these tools to keep all of the wheels turning in this business. But
Well, it sounds like the options are limitless and there's really not any risk to getting started there because you don't pay anything until you make money, which is a great asset as a farmer to not have to invest ahead of time, which is our entire life.
Does your business accept online payments, credit cards, or bank transfers? You're going to want to know about a tool called ThriveCart. I've been using this tool on my own website and on clients' websites for years and have been so happy with it. ThriveCart is a software tool you can use to design online checkouts with every option you can dream up. You can sell physical and digital products, connect to loads of other softwares you use for your website, accept payments, email marketing, and more. This is the most powerful tool that I use and the lowest cost one for my business. I recommend it for anyone who accepts online payments, who wants to increase their revenue or average order value on any type of product that you sell. In my show notes, you can find an affiliate link that I have for ThriveCart that gets you a great deal on a one-time payment, no subscription, and also allows me to earn affiliate income from this tool that I really enjoy and recommend. If you have any questions about how ThriveCart could work for your business, feel free to shoot me an email and I'd be happy to chat with you about it. Now, back to the show.
So you mentioned you're in every state. You have these sports experiences, wedding venue, photography. What are some other examples of what folks are using their land for to do bookings on Land Trust?
A big one that I didn't mention, I should have, is all of these experiences. A lot of people are adding on some type of lodging. So camping, or if they have a cabin or if they have an Airbnb, that is a great way to extend the amount of days people will stay. Especially with hunting. But we've seen one of our most productive properties in Missouri is a property with 9 fishing ponds that the dad and his sons keep. That's their enjoyment, as they keep that fishing habitat really good. And they just built a cabin purely for their land trust model because they have so many guests and they know if they can keep them there 2, 3, 4 days, there's just that much more revenue they can generate. They've even got it where you can buy meat directly off their little cattle operation. They'll stock the meat in the fridge at the cabin. So if you come with your family, you're stocked up for the week. We've seen people get extremely creative. We've got some ranchers out west that, it started with like, let's dip our toe into hunting. And it was great. And immediately, there's one great example where immediately the daughter-in-law of the family was like, man, we need to get people to stay here. And then the patriarch, the grandpa, if you will, was like, well, hey, we got this old cabin shack up in the hills. What if and that's their thing. Like that's him and his granddaughter-in-law are dragging trapper and calving shacks out of the hills and making them these cool little outposts for hunting. And it's really, really propelling them. Man, I'm trying to think because we're all over the place and we have all different types of cool listings coming on every day. I think the biggest ones I've seen lately, I know the wedding venue is the first of its kind for us. I definitely just saw, which this is where it's like, this is real money. I'll let the ranch remain nameless, but we have a ranch in Montana. The people that own the ranch, in my opinion, do an exquisite job managing the land and their herd of registered cattle. And they offer a very inclusive regenerative agriculture tour. And I just saw their booking come through the other day for $700. That was for an individual. Somebody's going to pay that much money to come stay and really learn about what they're doing and how they're managing their land. So yeah, we've got it all.
No kidding. And when you think about that, I try to think about who might be booking that tour. It could be somebody who's just really interested in agriculture. It could be a fellow rancher who wants to crack the code on how he can make their operation principles work on his. Like that's a whole other can of worms there.
Absolutely. My most rewarding experience yet being a landowner was I had a suburban family from over towards Charlotte come out, a mom and dad and 2 kids that I knew a little bit, but didn't know them well. And they wanted to come out and see all this. They found us through social media, my farm, Ridgely Land and Cattle. And they booked the tour and I said, yeah, come on, you guys, this would be great. And I remember we were going to do a walking tour. Their kids could walk and get around good. And they had waited a little bit into the summer when it gets really hot here. And they're walking down my main farm path to go out to the fields and the kids are crying because there's like gnats and bugs. And I'm like, oh, buddy, this is going to be a fun day.
Yeah.
Within 20 minutes, we never made it past my first creek. Within 20 minutes, the kids had their shoes and socks pulled off, and I happened to have a net, and we were chasing frogs and butterflies in the creek, ankle deep water. We never left there. I did the whole tour standing with mom and dad while the kids played for 2 hours. And the coolest thing was the kids cried leaving because they wanted to stay. I think a lot of that connection to nature is innate and in us. And I remember the mom saying, "This is not what I imagined." And I asked her to expound on that a little bit. And she's like, "Well, what I see in the media is these horror scenes. Like, your cows are out in belly deep grass, just as happy as can be. If I was a cow, I'd want to be here." She's watched the Netflix documentaries and the Amazon documentaries. And that's where I really thought, man, this is my chance to be my own voice. The same reason how we use social media here and connect with these people. And it was awesome. And she was like, "Yeah, this is great. I have no problem with animal agriculture. If I was an animal, I would want to be here." I explained how the whole system works. We're cow-calf operation. These cows are going to get sold at 500 pounds. They're essentially teenagers by then in cow years. I'm not stealing them from mama. They're 500, 600, 700 pounds. Most of these moms want them gone. They want a little relief before the next one comes here. But it was great. And I feel like it's my chance to tell my story, because if I don't tell it, Netflix and Amazon and somebody else is going to tell it for me. So it's my chance to tell the truth about how we do things here.
Yeah, that's awesome to have an opportunity like that. That's what all farmers who are wanting to stand up for agriculture want, is that opportunity for connection to really show what it looks like. Speaking of that, though, I think that is something that would hold a lot of folks back from maybe creating their first listing on land trust, is that fear of, well, not everything in agriculture is beautiful. Sometimes, if there's death, there's piles of mud and poop and things like that. How do you guys handle things like that when you approach the agritourism and making sure that people have a good experience on these farms?
Sure. So this is multifaceted a little bit. Let's back up to when we even build your listing. So if you Lexi, wanted to offer something like this, we have real people. It'd be Josh or Colin who are going to build your listing with you. And this is about the minimum amount of work you would have to do. And this means you're going to have to get us some photos and help describe your land, give us the coordinates, property boundaries, stuff like that. And we work really hard up front to make sure that whatever experience we are going to provide to the public is the best representation of you. All the way down to, we put together your listing on our website, and you have to give it final approval. We learn, and we've worked hard to make sure we represent the land as people are going to see it, so guests don't feel misrepresented. An easy example of that is we made the mistake once upon a time of getting some really beautiful pictures of pheasant and upland habitat out of season for pheasant and upland season, and then our sportsmen got there and everything had been tilled under, so it was like just a barren dirt field. And they're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't going to work. There's not even hedgerows anymore," right? So we work really hard up front to help guide people through. The other thing is, land trust is a two-way marketplace, so it's not every Tom and Mary off the street. For people to sign up to come to your property, they have to sign up through land trust, which means they are a guest of ours as well. So to do that, we ID verify them using a third-party service. So they have to have a valid U.S. driver's license. I'm sorry, valid form of ID. I know we actually have some people from Canada coming down now to do some experiences in the U.S. So valid form of ID that we can verify. We have a credit card on file. That cuts down on a lot of the riffraff. People generally are not going to misbehave if you have their credit card and their license on file. As well, they are signing a terms of service the same way you are if you're signing up to be an Airbnb guest. Within that terms of service, we're going to move into the legal side of this, but within that terms and service, they're holding you 100% non-liable for anything. On top of that, when you have a listing through land trust, we carry a liability policy for your listing. We also carry a property damage policy. So essentially, I guarantee your farm and ranch already has a liability policy. We are then just going to layer more policies on top of that. So you're actually way more protected to use us than you are not. Than if you don't use us. We still can't guarantee everything, right? Let's say that you do have this beautiful listing, and for whatever reason you have just a heck of a spring, and it's just a mud, and calving season goes awful. I'm thinking the worst case, right? And it's just not a time you want people there. Number one, you have to accept every booking. So that's the other minimal part of effort. So people don't just come and go without you knowing. You're going to get a booking request from a guest that wants to come. You either have to accept or deny it. You can also choose to then do neither accept or deny it yet, and you can speak to them securely through our app. So maybe you're like, look, I know in 2 weeks it's going to be a much better time. You can have that communication through our app securely. You don't have to give out your home phone number or your address. You can even make them a special offer. You're like, look, if you will work with me a little bit, I'll take $100 off this booking. And they're like, hey, that's great. Both parties are happy. You can facilitate all that through our tool. And then the same thing, if it's a last minute cancellation, we have a refund and cancellation policy. And the other thing you can do is you have all control of your listing. So you can fully set up your listing to not accept any bookings in certain times. A big example of that is Thanksgiving at farms and ranches. Let's say the family comes home. You got brothers, sisters, aunties, and uncles that want to hunt, and you offer hunting. Maybe you block the week of Thanksgiving out for your family, or the week prior. Plus, you have full control. We are a team of people. You can call us at any time and we can help you with that. But if you're tech savvy, you can do it yourself. So that's all the ways around bad experiences. We are an experienced company. We're not a trophy hunting service. We're an experienced company. We want people to have good experiences. I guess the last part to say about all that is, just like Uber or Airbnb, we have a rating system both for the sportsman and landowner. So when the transaction is done, we ask both parties to review each other. It's not mandatory, but we love it when it happens. The more reviews and ratings people have, the more secure people feel about booking, just like Airbnb. If you get 10 houses you're looking at and one's got a bunch of great ratings and one's got none at all, you're just inherently going to feel better about the one that has some good ratings. So that's how we try to facilitate all that. Nothing's perfect. We've had to use our property damage policy once or twice for a gate that gets run over. Somebody missed a pheasant one time, shot out a fencing charger. If it's a small thing, if it's a gate, we're not going to do a claim. We're going to write you a check for your $200, go to your farm store and get a new gate. Right. We are farmers and ranchers ourselves and sportsmen. So we're not a bunch of guys sitting in a high-rise building somewhere that don't understand you. We're your fellow farmers, ranchers, and sportsmen. So we want this thing to grow selfishly so I can make more money on my farm and have cooler places to hunt, fish, and take my family.
Yeah. And having that level of understanding is a huge difference in some of the other things that exist out there that you can try to make money on your farm with. I think that level of understanding of how farmers and ranchers think and how they operate makes a big difference. And the level of control and freedom that you have with your listing that's really appealing. I mean, to me, like you said, being able to give folks discounts if the experience that you're going to be able to provide right now is not exactly what you thought. That's just really cool to be able to adjust things like that easily on your own.
Yeah. I've done it. I've done it personally. I've got some photographers now that they're coming back 4, 5, 6 times. I want them to come back. I want them to use the heck out of this place. A funny case was last year I planted a bunch of sunflowers. I don't know if you know this, but if you plant sunflowers, people are going to take pictures in front of them. Selfishly, I did it because I like to dove hunt, but the photography paid for all the expenses of planting, tractors, my time, depreciation. I got to hunt for free. I could have sold the hunts, but that's what me and my buddies do. But I planted all these sunflowers on the same day. And I had a photographer. She was going to do a mini shoot session. I was like, this is awesome. I actually have 2 gates in that field. I was going to help her out. She's my neighbor. She's great. I was going to help her out. I'm like, yeah, you roll people through. You book this by the hour. We'll roll people through here. You make a bunch of money. Pay me a little bit. We're good to go. We were so excited. I did not consider when the sunflowers were going to die. She did all this work. And like 2 weeks before, the sunflower dead. Great for doves. Not great for pictures unless you're going for the goth look. So I've tried to help her out. We had to cancel all those listings. I felt bad about it, but yeah, it's just, it's easy and it is what you want to make it. There's also people who use our service as purely a tool for other reasons. We have a elk hunt in Nebraska that this gentleman has a bunch of pivot irrigation, adjacent to a lot of elk, evidently. He uses land trust. You can hunt cow elk for $25. He wants people there all the time hunting over his pivots to keep the elk driven back in the hills. He has a small upcharge for a bull, but $25 plus your tagging license. That's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And this gentleman, it's like, yeah, I'm sure he's smart. I know him. He's smart enough to know what his crop damage would be otherwise if these things are not up in the hills. That's just another example of how somebody might use the tool. That's a lot of how the hog listings are and the prairie dog or the, varmint listings. You might have a prairie dog colony and you're paying to manage it, or hogs and you're paying to manage those. And it's like, people will pay you to come have fun with them. So yeah, it's used for all types of things.
Yeah. I love the breadth of ideas, because I hope that gets people's wheels turning of thinking, well, this could be possible to do on our farm. One thing, and it kind of goes back to the divide you mentioned between landowners and sportsmen, but I think it's the divide within agriculture of people being nervous to try things on their farm or ranch that are not directly production agriculture and how they're going to be perceived. What experience have you guys had with that?
Man, this hits really hard and right at home. I think I have a lot of experience with this. There's the human bell curve, a human adoption curve, right? So there's always going to be people that are like innovators, and this is great. They don't care. Every new idea is the next thing. And then there's early adopters, which may not be the Einsteins of the world, but they're very open. And I'm somewhere in there. I'm very open to trying anything once. And then you have your large majority, and then you have your laggards and your late adopters, whatever. We deal with people through all of that bell curve. We deal with people who are innovative, early adopters of this, and maybe they jazz themselves in their head up so much they think this is going to be they think it's going to be worth more than it is. They sign up a listing, and if they don't hit $73,000 in the first year, it's a failure to them. And that's why I said it pays my taxes. That's where I started on year one, pays the tax bill. I have a goal for next year, and I will learn, and it'll evolve, but I like to set realistic expectations. On the flip side, we face people, and I can understand this in agriculture. Most people in agriculture, I feel pretty safe saying this statement. Being an agriculture operator or a producer, a farmer, a rancher, however we classify ourselves, it really becomes our identity. Mm-hmm. And I feel sometimes like when you're looking, I am a cattleman. That is what I graze cattle. I'm a grazer. I'm a cattleman. That is how I would classify myself. We have this big joke. I don't really call myself a farmer because that's what my father-in-law is in Illinois, and he has big equipment. I can't really call myself a rancher because that's what my friends are in Montana, and they have big ranches. I'm just a cattle grazer. But it becomes our identity. And when we start exploring things outside of how we classify ourselves or what our normal farm practices are, I think it's hard for people sometimes. It's hard for me. I don't want to own Old McDonald's pumpkin patch to make a living in farming. I want to be cattleman. That is what I enjoy doing. I'm also a realist though. And the same reason some people go direct to consumer, because they'd like to opt out of the, like, say, commercial cattle market or commercial produce market. This is just a way, this is a way to stack enterprises. And I think that's where we are. That's where we are with land prices in this country. Certainly, I think most land prices have exceeded their utility value as far as agriculture production. And that's based off of a lot of things you and I don't can control. Mm-hmm. So if we want to participate in agriculture, we have to either think creatively about how to do so, or go work for somebody else, I guess. I don't know how many options you got. So I personally like trying new things. That's just me. Again, like I was saying, I try to just fail fast and fail forward and fail often and make it so when I have these failures, they're learning opportunities and it's not costing me the farm. But yeah, we definitely fight that. I get that a lot, and I completely understand it. I hear if farmers have to do this, then we're failing as a country, or this or that. Well, those are really out of your control and my control. I worry about today. Same thing with sell-by marketing. We don't look in the past, we look in the future. We worry about what is the market doing right now and where can we capitalize. Right now, Charlotte, North Carolina is an hour west of me. It is driving land prices through the roof. But there's a lot of people who pay me for experiences because they don't have access to beautiful farmland like I own. So I'm going to monetize it while I can.
Yeah. I appreciate you broaching that subject because it's a big one and it's hard. It's a very personal issue for a lot of people. But I think if we think about it like that, of this is what's true now, and this is what we have control over now, and let that be what drives us forward, it's a little bit less nuanced than we sometimes make it.
I'll leave you with this too. We specialize in production agriculture. Like we partner with real working farms and ranches. People would rather have that experience. I worked on a dude ranch for 4 years in high school out in Colorado. There's people that go to dude ranches. There's also people that want to go to real working ranches. Mm-hmm. So I don't want people to think that they have to Mickey Mouse what they're doing. There's people that very much appreciate how you actually do things. We have people pay to go to brandings, not participate. That's a little bit of the Yellowstone effect, but pay and watch. They want to see that. That is a real thing that occurs. If you go to YouTube and you look up big construction YouTube or big farm YouTube, right? I can name some of those channels, or trucking YouTube, and you look at the demographics of who watches it. Kids. They love to watch excavators and bulldozers run. They love to watch big equipment run. There is an innate interest in that. You don't have to teach little kids to play with a dump truck in the sandbox. You put them in a sandbox and give them a dump truck and they play. That stuff is within us. It's within us even as adults. We like wide open spaces, and most of us like wide open spaces and exploring a little bit. So this is just a way you can share those experiences with people, and you don't have to, I say Mickey Mouse it up, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, why would somebody pay to do that? Well, people pay a lot of money to go to Disney World. Go to the movies, right? So there is a large interest in the things you do every day, and the connections we've made. It's always the Yosemite Sam gruff rancher that wants no part of this, whose family convinces him to try it, and he becomes the biggest fan of everybody, and he becomes the guy who looks forward to when people come, because maybe he lives out in rural eastern Montana or North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever. And when he has people come and experience his land, which is his life's work, and has people appreciate what he does, it very much, we all want that. We want people to appreciate why we work. We work for people. We don't work for the packer. We don't work for the grain elevator. We truly, in our minds, we work for people. We work to feed our fellow countrymen, whatever. So when you have people come and thank you and be interested in what you're doing, which is really, these experiences we're having people helping people share. I think it hits home with a lot of folks, and it's always the ones who say they're not going to like it who fall in love with it. Yeah. We get this sweet note from this lady. They have a northern North Dakota listing. They offer duck hunting. Her husband was a big duck hunter in his younger years. They have a little cabin, and she said that every time there's hunters in that cabin, that's where you can find that gentleman. He tells the same stories to all the hunters about how he did it 60 years ago and which ponds to find the ducks on. And she said that keeps him going through the winter. He's older. It's cold. He needs somebody to talk to, and he just loves it. And she loves our service for that. So that's the really cool stuff to me.
Yeah. And it brings back some of the connection back to that you said, like, it's missing. And I think that's one of the reasons we see so many mental health challenges in producers, is because that connection is missing. And this facilitates a way for it to happen again. So that's really cool. Okay. So kind of to bring this all together, if someone is wanting to make their listing on Land Trust, what are some first few tips you can give them to be successful when they're just getting started?
Get good photos of your land. That's the best. People, they say people eat with their eyes. You also surf for houses on Airbnb or, experiences with your eyes. Attractive photos, draw your eyes in. It's the same reason most of our society doom scrolls on Instagram, right? So Land Trust is no different. You're going to have a listing. So we want good photography. And I'm not saying you have to go hire a professional photographer. Most people have cell phones in their pockets with good camera technology. But yeah, the first step is actually just to go to landtrust.com or call us. We're real people. We were really going to answer the phone. You can actually text us. You can chat us on our website. You're going to hear from me, Josh, Colton, or Colin. Guarantee it. One of the four of us is who's going to pick up. And we're going to help you through this. So the first step is call us and ask any questions you have till you feel comfortable. Then the next step is going to be get some good photography. If you're going to offer some type of hunting and fishing, let's get some photography. Let's hang a game camera out there and get some pictures of what's there. We have a cool service. We have a service called Field Notes, which is once you have a listing going, you can literally be posting updates like it's Twitter or Instagram about your property. And we have sportsmen that can like, share, and follow. So like if you have a ranch that's got a good turkey population and somebody came out last year and they loved your property, they love to hunt it, it's everything they've ever dreamed of, they can follow along all winter while you or your husband post pictures of turkeys in your haystack and they're like, holy cow, there's 5 gobblers. I'm booking the first day. And we have that happen. Migratory waterfowl, we have people from their tractors, just cell phone picture. You can see the screen on the tractor, and they're just posted pictures of ducks and geese flying in their fields. And the post is waterfowl is here. We had really neat instance in North Dakota this year. One week it was snow geese are here. Bam. We had a booking. The next week it was literally a picture of the review of sportsmen with snow geese in their tailgate, full circle. That cell phone picture drove that booking and drove a couple $1,000s in the bank account. That's one piece I should mention. Everybody's going to want to know what's the financial implications. We are an 80-20 split, 80% to the producer, 20% to us. If you have a $100 listing, that's $80 to you, $20 to us. Take it from there. I mentioned we have everybody's credit card on file. As soon as you accept the booking request, the money sits in an escrow account. So you can see on the backside of your listing how much money is going to come to you when the folks come and experience the experience, at which time the money drops down. We leave it in an escrow account so that if there is a refund or a cancellation, you haven't spent the money on, I don't know, new tractor. We don't try to get the money back from you, right? So that's how all that works. But yeah, I think the first step is really just be interested and give us a call and talk to us. Email me. We'll give you all that information. Just get a hold of us.
Very cool. Well, I hope everybody thinks about that, and maybe you get a few folks who reach out to you and take action on it. Kind of to bring this back to your operation, I am curious. I try to ask everybody at the end of my interviews this kind of a question, but you said at the beginning that you stepped away from agriculture when you were 18 and then you returned to it. So I'm curious, as a population that is ever shrinking, what pulled you away from ag? And what brought you back? And then maybe what's something that you're excited about the future of agriculture for?
Those are great questions. What pulled me away from ag was fast race cars and the love to build them. I grew up in Vermont on a yearling cattle operation and apple orchard, funny enough. It was the combination. My mom and dad both left their family farms respectively. The produce farm I mentioned in Jersey, and my dad's from a dairy farm in Virginia. Cool story. Went to Virginia Tech, ran away to Vermont, raised a bunch of kids, a bunch of cows, a bunch of apples. Vermont, people don't know this, but in the Northeast, Vermont has a really good racing scene, short track racing, dirt scene, as well as tractor pulls. And I was all things little boy and redneck, and I was pretty good at dreaming up creative ideas to make my go-kart, four-wheeler, snowmobile go faster. And I learned and my best friend raced, and he had a sprint car, and I really enjoyed constructing the sprint car and fixing it. I found out that you could go get a college degree in engineering in Charlotte, North Carolina, and work in NASCAR. And that's what I did for 18 years.
Very cool.
Yeah. I packed my truck the day after I graduated high school. I worked one more summer on that dude ranch in Colorado, and I flew right from that ranch back to do my freshman year in Charlotte. And I did 18 years in NASCAR. What brought me back was I really had no desire. I thought I had no desire to be in agriculture. I loved working with my dad. I loved being outside. I love that we had this land to run around and be a little boy on. But maybe like a lot of kids, I saw a lot of struggle. I see a lot of struggle and strife. Like we had a lot of little enterprises to make a go at it. And then even then my mom had a full-time job. And then later on, my dad got a full-time job. And my dad's really good. My parents are really good at what they do. My family eventually sold that farm in Vermont. So I didn't even have the option to go back. They sold it my senior year of high school. But I knew I always had family operations if I really wanted to. But I'm a pretty independent thinker. And I remember laying in my dorm room in Charlotte about 6 months after I got there. And I came from a town of 400 people in Shoreham, Vermont to Charlotte, North Carolina, and just almost dropping out of school. I'm like, there's too many people, not enough wide open spaces. I took a drive with some friends that I'd met towards the coast, and I got into Union County, which is where I live now. And I got to the certain curve in the road, and I was like, holy cow, this looks like home. And these look like the people I associate with. And it was honestly about that time that I kind of set my mind like, okay, I can live outside of Charlotte, work in NASCAR, but still live the lifestyle I wanted. There's a dangerous word in agriculture, lifestyle, but that was important to me. So I always lived out here. And that even then at a really young age, when I got out of college and I had a full-time job, I started saving to buy land. I've always liked owning land. I like to hunt, fish, all that stuff. And that's what brought me back. And my journey into actually getting back into ag has some funny tales about like eating healthy and how the doctor told me to eat versus how I was raised. And eventually I was not really homesteading, but like, man, I know cows. I've always enjoyed being around cows. Let's just start with some cows. That's how I got back to it. And then my insidious nature of always wanting to learn about business has driven me deep down the rabbit hole of profitable ranching, right? Ranching for profit, and Wally Olson marketing schools and sell by marketing and Ranch Right LLC and all these fun organizations that it's just at this point in my life, it's new learning and it's all new and exciting. And it's almost like I'm getting paid to learn, and I'm excited again. So that's very fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I think that it's important for people to hear stories like that, because your story, if you think that you're going to be coming back to the family farm and then something pulls you away, that doesn't mean it's forever.
Absolutely.
It can change. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Taylor. We will have links in the show notes where people can find out more about Land Trust and about your operation in case they want to find your listing and come book a tour or some photography at your farm. So thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you, Lexi.
If you've enjoyed spending time with us today, please take a moment to review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or join the conversation on social media. Do you have a topic you would like to discuss or know someone with a story to share? Apply to be a guest on the podcast at farmingonpurpose.com. You can follow the host of Farming on Purpose, Lexi, on your favorite social media platforms for more content by searching for Farming on Purpose. And remember, if you look around your table and aren't inspired by the people there, it's time to find a new seat.